everybody, welcome back to the WahooWarrior channel. I just want to take a little bit of time and talk about tournaments. I do have a lot, and I'm very happy, a lot of new viewers and new subscribers, and a lot of people, sometimes I don't know how new they are to the bolt action scene, or even just miniature gaming scene and tournament scene. I like to go to tournaments, and sometimes I imagine if you're a new player, you maybe not even know what that means, and two, don't know what it's like. There's two kinds of tournaments. One is your local FGLS or your gaming store tournament, which is usually a one-day. They usually do 3 matches. Sometimes they have paint scores, sometimes they don't. That's really just basically your local game store having an excuse for multiple people to get together and play some miniatures. Usually the entry fee is nominal, like maybe $5, and usually the prizes are gift cards for the store. Sometimes they're $10. They're great events because you can play against people that you maybe never met before. You meet new people in your area. I've never been to a local 3-day where there's ever been any stress or pressure one way or another for anyone to do well. Everyone's good-natured. I play a lot of those tournaments. Well, I still do a lot of teaching in those tournaments. If somebody makes a mistake because they're a new player or because they're maybe a younger player, I will sometimes offer advice, even if I'm playing against them. I don't, and you see that all across the board in those local settings. I mean, because what's the big deal? You win, a $10 gift card or bragging rights over 6 guys that you probably are going to be playing against a lot in your area. I mean, the bragging rights, and I like in our gaming community between Sioux City and Rich and Josh and Steve down in Lincoln. Several of us are competitive people, but not to the sake of sportsmanship. And I look forward to my next matches against those guys. Whether it's whatever the army they're building or just the way that they play. And I think, if it wasn't for local tournaments, that's like Steve put one on in Lincoln, and Rich Jeffords has put a couple of really nice ones up in Sioux City. Without those, I don't think it's harder for the community to grow, bolt action community. Like when I'm going to an Operation Sting, though, that's what I call, when I used to play Warhammer Fantasy, I used to call them GT events, Grand Tournament events. It's a 2-day, 5 battles, and I'm going to that November 5th. And when you're looking at a GT type event, there is more to it than just showing up with your army painted or unpainted or even just painted. There's several other factors. When I went to Adepticon, one of the factors that hurt me was my theme score. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into my theme. In fact, I changed my army list at the last minute. I wasn't trying to game any kind of particular crushing advantage, but that's what theme score is for. It's to keep things from like a late war army list with a Panzer III with a light anti-tank gun, where it doesn't make sense, but it makes your army more powerful because you're able to kind of pick and choose or cherry pick equipment throughout the years. So one of my friends, Paul Stewart, Paul, you may remember I played against him at Bug Eater, and Paul actually plays 2nd overall at Adepticon, and I placed 3rd overall. We've been in touch. He came down. He's graciously offered for me to stay in his guest room when I go to Chicago. So Paul and another person on our Bolt Action Nebraska page, and you probably see him in the community, is Ken Bladelock out in the United Kingdom. Both those guys do a really good job. Ken in particular is very authentic. If I ever have any question as far as will this work, does this make sense, Ken's the guy I can ask, and he will know exactly what equipment. And there's a lot of people in the community. Those are just the 2 resources that I quickly know that I can send an email to or a message, and they'll get back to me. Paul is great at GT tournament events because he comes up with a theme, he creates an army story behind it, then he creates a display board to reflect it. So his army, when you first, any army he runs, when you first walk up to his display board, his army tells a story. You know, before you read anything about it, you got a pretty good idea of where in the world you're at, what time frame you're in, and then you can look at his army list. So that's what gives you those extra bonus points. I think Paul, like when he came to Bug Eater, he ran that desert army, and he had some Gurkhas in there and stuff. I think he's either planning to run a desert one or a U.S. Marine Corps. That's what he's hinting around at, which I'm really excited to see his U.S. Marine Corps army. Paul will do well with no matter what he takes, and he always puts together a really nice army. So what I'm trying to do for this GT and for this, the other thing is, if you're ever thinking about going to a 2-day event and you haven't been to a 2-day event, you think, well, I'm new to bolt action, I don't want to go there. It'll be competitive, it'll be heated, it'll be rule lawyers all over. That is not the way bolt action happens. Every player that I've ever played against so far, we're still new, been around for a few years, we've just started having these 2-day events. I strongly encourage you to go to them. When I first kind of cut my teeth on tournaments, I was going to like the Bug Eater tournament for Warhammer Fantasy, and I went to Adepticon for Warhammer Fantasy, and I got beat a lot. My goals would often be to win 3 out of my 5 matches, and that usually happened. But I also played a lot of weird armies. I would take orcs and goblins and stuff to GTs. Everyone was super friendly there. I got a few more competitive than others at that level, but that was a different game system of Warhammer Fantasy. A lot of quirky rules that you could really build an army around a rule. There's no theme so much. So anyway, I strongly encourage you to go to any tournaments in your local area. If anything, you will learn a lot about bolt action. You will learn some quick little techniques and quick little things just by playing and trial and error. Losing or winning, you'll see what works for you and what doesn't. When you add in the theme score composition, that's where, I could take, they've asked me to bring axes, but I could take an army list, I'm sure I could come up with one that is kind of broken. Germany is the hardest army I find to do that, but with any army, you could find one that it doesn't make sense. Panzer III, like I said, with a light anti-tank gun, a squad with Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck, and then multiple flamethrowers with assault engineers, and go, where was that ever in the war? And your theme score would probably be very poor. And when you're looking at trying to place in the top positions at a GT, you're gonna need that theme score. I was really shocked when I went to Adepticon. I saw the finals. Nobody won 100 battle points. There's 20 per match. I think the highest was, if I remember right, was the last game I played against was against the Soviets. Not Seamus, some Seamus. Sorry, I apologize. Sabbat. Damn, I have his business card in my wallet. But he had the highest battle points, and he got best allied, but 5th overall because his theme was and his paint and whatnot. So it's not about crushing. Well, if you can do it, but usually in the GTs they score. It's hard to get a 20-point win. You see a lot of draws, especially in matches 3, 4, and 5, when you've kind of already played some matches and it's balancing out. So when you get 3 people or 4, 5, 6 people at the top tables, and they're all drawing against each other, which is easier to do in bolt action, or getting minors, It's very competitive. Those theme points are gonna what separates you, and your sportsmanship and your paint is what's gonna separate you, unless you bring a tough as nails, rock hard list that wipes people out, and you just crush in battle points. Which the only list I can think of that what could maybe do that would be, you know, maybe the British, Up and Atom, All Gurkha, something like that. But second edition has actually made things even more well-rounded. It's going to be about your generalship, with the leadership, with all the different little nuances that they fix. They fix the recce. You know, I think it's going to be super competitive and exciting. So anyway, all that said, so what I'm going to do for anybody who's just curious to follow along, and anybody who, you know, wants to know, one, you know, obviously I'm going to battle report when I go there. What I'm going to do now is I've got, you know, 2.5, 3 weeks to get my army tournament ready. If it was the British, I would be good to go. If it was the French, I'd be good to go. I would just be doing a few small things, and but it's German, because they needed an access player, and I'm like, do it. It'd give me an excuse to get my Germans tournament ready and challenge myself a little bit. I mean, I don't want to go in there and finish middle of the pack, and I could blame my army list, but I think in bolt action, I think I can do it. Maybe. We'll see. Middle of the pack is okay if I have a good time. Because I will see Paul. I'm going to hang out with Paul. That's going to be fun. I'm curious to see all of this stuff. He's a really cool dude, and he's quite the hobbyist, quite the modelist, and I'm going to get a few tips and tricks from him, I'm sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through prepping my army for a tournament. One is what I was thinking of, and I kind of made a little list before. I did change my list a little bit. So what I have to do, and then I'm going to try to do a series of videos up to Operation Sting, as far as getting my stuff ready to go. So I'm going to go over my army list again real quick to show you what I'm looking at, and then show you what I need to do to try to get a decent paint score, and because theme score is basically based in your army list building, and then the paint score is what I'm going to be working on probably for the next couple weeks. So I'm going to go over my army list again. Okay, so I did, if you watched my last one on Operation Sting, I did try that one out, and it was okay, but I did make a few changes. I really can't make a list the way I want with the Germans. Actually, I had a viewer on YouTube the other day talking about minor powers, and I pulled up the Romanian Easy Army. I actually felt like I made a better list with the Romanian Army than I could with the Germans. I had the Panzer 38. I had a 10-man regular squad with 2 light machine guns in it, another 10-man with 2 light machine guns in it. I had a veteran squad, etc., etc. They have all the tools that I would like in a tournament army. Germany, I cannot make it the way I really want. But here's what I got. I am taking a second. What? Oh, that's not good. I screwed up my army list already, and I already emailed it to the TO. I have a second lieutenant. Did not want a second lieutenant. I did want regular, but I wanted a first lieutenant, so I get the 2. God dang it. Well, whatever. Here Grenadier Squad, here Grenadier Squad. Both of those, instead of having the mixed bag where I had a couple assault rifles in each one, I'm going to go with kind of more of a min-max, which is a light machine gun in each regular squad with 2 Panzerfaust. And then I'm going to have, they'll be my support squads, and then I'm going to have a couple close combat squads. So all in all, I have 3 regular Grenadier squads, each with a light machine gun and 2 Panzerfaust. And if you notice the guy in the back there, the ammo can stand. In the second edition, you need to have a dedicated person who has to be within an inch of the LMG. So I'm going to paint him up. I got one in each. Paint him up. I haven't got one here yet, but you can see I got some guys that I need to paint. And one of them I'll just give him maybe one of those belts of ammo over his neck that come on the sprue. And then I'll get these guys painted up with that kind of green and khaki pant uniform. Green and green, or green and khaki. So I got the 3 regular squads. So they each have a light machine gun. They're just my grunts. I'm not afraid to use down orders, so those guys, I should be able to get them to last quite a bit, especially with the down orders being -2. And then I've got 2 6-man regular squads. And 6-man squads are kind of fragile, but I did put 2 assault rifles, because in a regular squad you can have late war veterans, you can have, or late war regulars, you can have 2 assault rifles, an NCO with a submachine gun, and another submachine gun. So I've got 4 assault weapons and 2 rifles. What I'm actually going to do, I think, is put the Panzerfaust on my assault rifle guys, and then that will give me 2 rifles to die without losing anything. And then same with this squad. I think I'll put the Panzerfaust on the assault rifles. That way the lieutenant or the NCO will stay alive. And the first things I'll pick off, it would be rifle, then the extra submachine gunner, and then the assault rifle guys that have the Panzerfaust. Now if I do get hit with a sniper, that's whatever, they'll probably take off an assault rifle with a Panzerfaust, but that's just what happens. Yeah, here's my lieutenant. So I need to paint him. I need to get these guys painted, basically half of this squad painted, and then ammo can stand needs to be painted. I started working on this MMG platform. It's a converted light machine gun on the larger base with an extra guy. Once I get it based similar to that, it'll match right in, I think. I changed these guys over from the gray. Just got the base colors with the khaki and the green. I kind of like that better, especially for regulars. And I'm going to do the same with the anti-tank gun. Then I'm going to have 2 trucks. Like I said, I'm going to base Alan's truck. I'm just going to sticky tack it to a cardboard base. I like my vehicles on bases. It gives them more stability, and you can put like some of the ground effects. Right now I just got this truck on my display board to remind myself that I have a truck coming in the mail, and I'm going to have to jam that out in like, I can paint a truck in one day, no problem, but I can I'm just going to know I need to be prepared to do it. I just like to have everything on my army list just right here so I know what I got to do. And then the next thing, I've got this guy just primed a little bit, and I got a lot of work to do on that, and I want it to look nice, so I'm going to take my time on that. And my last squad is my assault engineer squad. So what I did, I took out the 2 6-man SS squads, and I added extra stuff. I added extra full squad. And these 2 6-mans will go in one truck. My assault engineers will go in another truck with my lieutenant. Darn, second lieutenant, boy, that really, I mean, what's the point of a second lieutenant, honestly? Snap 2 can only snap himself in one other unit. So that's not really what I want to see when I look at my army list, and I already mailed it to the TO. It's not the end of the world. I am curious what you look on the Warlord page, it talks about the Armies of Germany new book coming out. It says German leaders who they get a bonus, some kind of bonus when they do their Snap 2. I am going to email the tournament organizer, because when he said I'm taking Axis, he said we'll have the new Axis rules. I'm curious to see what they're going to do for that. It would be nice if the Allied or the German leaders got an extra Snap 2. Then that would be perfect. Then I would have done that perfectly. But that's not the way it's reading right now. Both my trucks have a medium machine gun. So when you look at my list, it looks a little vanilla. It's about, I prefer to have the max order dice. That way I can activate what I need to do when I want to. I'm not playing an order dice war, but I'm only 3 off. So I've got to get a lot of paint done. And the next thing I need to do is, I have this thing here, and you need to take it's some type of objective marker, no bigger than 6 inches on any side. This is right around 5 by 5. I'm going to use this. I'm basing it so I can, one, use it as a display on my display board. 2, I can obviously take it off and use it for the objective. And 3, when I'm done with this tournament, I can maybe use it as a terrain piece on my battlefield. So I'm trying to kind of get a little value, as opposed to a table with the lieutenant standing next to it or something like that. I'm going to do a little building and make it something. Maybe try to make it some. I don't have a lot of time to really detail it. So if I can put a table in there with some maps or something, that'd be neat. But I'm not going to cry about it if I can't get it done. At least I'll have an objective marker that I need for the tournament. It is part of your paint score judging. Next thing I need to do is make a display board. Now, I did go to Hobby Lobby yesterday and I bought some new paints. I'm excited to try these out. But I'm going to be making a display board, and I'm just going to be making it on a piece of board. I cut this down to the size that's going to fit my army, but not be too humongous. When I went to Adepticon, I took that bad boy, which I had made for mainly just like a display board / tutorial thing at a local high school. It's a little bit too big. It's 2 feet by 2 feet. Takes up a lot of room. If you've gone to tournaments, usually you've got about 2 feet on the side of the table, or maybe a side table for you to put your stuff on. I can take this is 2 by about 2.5, or 2 by about, I don't know what the hell it is. It's not as big as that, width-wise. I can put it sideways. It'll fit in the small space on the end of the table. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to cut down and shave down some of this styrofoam and make a little bit of hills on here. I'm going to be trying to make it look like, when I got my little objective marker, I can put here. I've got some grout that I'm going to try to use to put down on top of this. When it dries, I'll be able to paint it and it'll look like ground, and I can dry brush it. I'm going to make maybe a little road, maybe a parking area to put those vehicles. I've got my objective marker. I'm going to put maybe in the corner. I just need to make some type of walls or rock. I might cut that out of that and then grout around it, and then dry brush paint some rock. I need to just get some kind of feature that maybe looks like a small hamlet in the east, somewhere on the German-Soviet border, maybe set up a small little command post, anti-aircraft station, just something to make it pop. And the reason you have a display board is, one, when they do your painting, it really will make your painting look a lot better. Gives your army ties in the theme, and it's also, when you're going from table to table, somewhere to put your miniatures and carry it around. You can just use a tray, but if you want the extra points for your paint score, you should really have a display board. And also, it's really nice when you go around and look at other people's display boards. It just really highlights your army. So that is all the things I have to probably get done. The other little things I have to do, all these guys that I haven't painted, many of them need the little the helmet stickers that I've got on my guys. I don't have any on these guys yet, obviously, because they're not done yet. Maybe a couple NCO stripes on some of my guys, and then decal markings. So I've actually got a lot of work to do for army that's mostly painted. I did put a little bit of grass effects on some of these guys here. I had some extras. I do need to go to the hobby store and pick up a few more of those. Just a little bit of grass clump effects. I'm going to need a few more of those, and then we'll just have it done. Alright, so in the next 2 days I should have another video updating my progress so far. And I do work a couple of shifts. I am off the weekend, so I have the whole weekend to really cram some stuff out, and I'll try to put some videos of my progress. Alright guys, wish me luck.